Hi, I'm Coach Ron, and welcome to Fast Track Millionaire. Let me share with you a little of my history so you can know a little bit about me. Now, I've been living in Birmingham all my life. I was born in Birmingham, 1951. Raised by a single parent. My mother had 4 of us, so we didn't have a lot growing up. We struggled a lot growing up. But I think I mentioned earlier that I used to spend a lot of time reading. So in the summer days when it was real hot, we didn't have air conditioning, and because of that, I would go to the library because they had air conditioning. So I would sit in there for hours just to be cool. But while I was there, I read pretty much every book that I can get my hands on. So I developed a habit of reading, and I have that habit today, which I believe is a good habit. And I did a lot of reading. And as I grew up, I had a wide imagination. I mean, I imagined myself doing so many things. A lot of them I probably never get to, but I had a wide imagination. And so, and it helped me in life because it helped me to cope with things. Sometimes your living condition and where you are is not where you want to be, but you can imagine yourself in another place, and it does work. And I appreciate the fact that God gave us imagination. I mean, we created in His image, and so He's a great imaginator, and so we imagine things too. But as I progressed through life, I always wanted to have a better quality of life, so I started doing things that would help me. I did little side hustles, and I sold stuff. I ran errands for the neighbor. I did everything to keep money in my pocket. But as I grew up and got older, went to work on a permanent job at the age of 18. Hard work, hard labor in a plant. Didn't like the work, but needed the income. But while I was there, I started figuring out a way to not be there. I wanted a better position, better job. So I started going to school at night, and one of the things that helped me, I went to income tax school. I learned how to do income taxes. Actually started an income tax business at the age of 19. And while doing that, I learned a lot about taxes, so it helped me to be able to save money on taxes, and it also helped me to learn how to invest money, because in doing taxes, I had to really study, so I started learning the tax code, how the IRS work, how the United States work, the whole tax system. And so that helped me in terms of saving money on my taxes. And a lot of my clients, I talked with them about how they could save money on their taxes. But that kind of led me. Tax season was a seasonal business, 3-4 months out of a year. And it wasn't enough for me to leave my job. But my goal was to leave my job and be in business for myself. And so because of that, I went into real estate. So now, once I went into real estate, got my real estate license, real estate broker's license, that opened the door for me to leave my plant job. So I started real estate business. And it was good that I did taxes, because taxes and real estate, they kind of worked hand in hand. And I was real excited about real estate because I saw the potential to become wealthy, because wealth is something that I always wanted to be. I always wanted to be wealthy. Sometimes I used to make that statement to people about being wealthy, and they would try to talk me out of it and try to make statements like, well, money ain't everything. It ain't all about the money. And I understood that. It wasn't all about the money, but it take money to live. It take money to do a lot of things. If you have money, you can have better health care, you can eat better, you can sleep better, you can do a lot of things better. So money is important, and so we should never allow people to make us feel guilty because we want money, because money answers all things, or rather money responds to everything. You can do a lot more with it than you can without it. But I had to get over that because, people can be brutal when it comes to things like that. And I had to also learn, now that helped me to learn how not to be concerned about what people say about me. And that's something that we have to learn, how not to be overly concerned about what people say about us. But I started investing in real estate, investing in property, and had rental property, and was making good commissions and doing very well with real estate. And real estate was exciting. But then I had a downturn in my business. There was a period of time where the interest rate went up to like 21%. And when that happened, every deal that I had began to fall apart, and I didn't have a sale for about 6 months. I went 6 months without making any money, and I had almost spent all of my reserve money, and I was getting to a point to where I didn't want to start missing payments. I had a family to support. I had children, and my children didn't understand the term "I don't have it." They wouldn't take that. You could say you didn't have it, but they're gonna stare you down until you go somewhere and get it for them. So I had to continue to figure out a way to keep income coming. So I went and got a job, and I said, I'm going to get a job for a couple of years until real estate picked back up. And I ended up working. I went to work at a company called Circuit City, and some of y'all might remember Circuit City. But that's when I really learned something about money, especially fast money. I went to Circuit City, started working there, getting paid straight commission. And while there, I earned a lot of money because it was straight commission. And it helped me to recover from those 6 months where I didn't have a real estate sale. Kept my real estate license, but Circuit City became my main income. And so while there, Circuit City had an excellent training program. I started learning how to do retail sales, which is something I thought I would never do, because I didn't think I liked selling, but once I got there, I started loving selling, because you was connecting with a lot of people, a lot of training, a lot of learning. And I was top sales at Circuit City for the time I was there. Every month, I was in my store. I was the top volume getter. I was the top percentage maker. I was top everything. I was even the best dresser, by the way. But you know, that's something that I just took on because I read a book one time, by the way, that was called Dress for Success, and it teaches you how to dress. And I know, and I'm going off on that because some people think it don't matter how you dress, but it does. So, but anyway, I was the top dresser. But the thing that helped me in Circuit City was I had good habits, and a lot of the other salespeople, they had bad habits. And so I want to speak to that because there are people that are not succeeding because they have bad habits. And so we need to have good habits in order to succeed in life. And one of the habits that they had was a lot of them had smoking habits. You know, I'm not condemning smoking, but it was a book I read about smoking, and they called people with smoking habits that's in sales, they called it the $1 million cigarette. And I wondered why, but when you smoke, you have to leave the sales floor. And so I didn't ever have to leave the sales floor. That's why my sales was up. But the guys that go out and smoke, every time they go take that smoke break, they was missing sales. I didn't miss sales. And the other thing was, people didn't like to answer the telephone. You know, we're in a day now where customer service is just, I mean, it's almost zero. But regardless of technology, how well, you know, they make things where you don't have to have people, customer service is still important. And so when I was working there, people, when the phone would ring, all the other salespeople, they didn't want to answer the phone. But I always answered the phone on the second ring because I had read another book about answering the telephone, because you never know who's going to be on the other end of the phone. And because I answered the phone, I was able to get sales from people that was calling it back, because everybody is not calling to complain. But even if they are calling to complain, you only have to listen to a complaint for about 30 seconds. And all you have to do is be nice and just say, I understand, and move on from that. But because of those good habits that I developed, it helped me to be successful. And then it taught me, even running my own business, how all of these things are so important. And so one of the most important things about being successful is developing good habits, good character, doing things that promote yourself, because when you're a brand, you're your own brand. You know, the scripture talks about a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches and silver and gold, and love and favor than silver and gold. So you make your name good, and you provide good customer service, and you have a good attitude about life. And because the other thing about that is, when your attitude is good, it helps you to think clear. It makes you to help you to make better decisions when you're not frustrated about things. So I always would do things to bring a peace on my life. So that helped me be successful. But the other thing about Circuit City is I want to bring up, because it forced me to get into retail, which is something I never wanted to do. And so when I worked there, we went to work one day, it was on a Monday, I'll never forget it. And the weather was bad. It was raining, and it was predicted that it was gonna rain all day. And so I went to work with an attitude like, well, you know, this is gonna be an easy day. I just kind of lay back. I know we're not gonna have any customers, and it's not gonna be that much to do. And I get caught up on some things. But when we went in there, the sales manager said, our goal today is $100,000. And so I thought to myself, I said, now he can't know what he's talking about because it's raining outside. How are we going to do $100,000? But believe it, we did over $100,000 on that rainy day, on that Monday, which most people don't think is a good day for sales. But I learned something from that. I discovered that when the weather's bad like that, when it's raining, that's when people go out and shop. And most people say when the weather bad, they're just gonna stay at home all day, but it don't take long for them to get out. You know, a couple of hours at home, especially if you're married, and if you're married, you got a spouse. Let's just say you're married and you got a wife. Your wife gonna give you a honey-do list, so you wanna leave that. If you're married and you're a lady, your husband is gonna want you to wait on him all day, so it only gonna take a little while for you to decide, I don't wanna be at home all day. And so you'll get out and do something. And so I learned from that, you know, things are not always the way they appear, and you can always learn more. And it helped me, and even in the retail business that I'm in today, all of the things that I learned there, I learned how you have to plan. You know, you have to have your date already planned out because it's always going to be something that's going to happen that you didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, it's the unknown sometimes that defeat people. But if you plan your day out and you're ready for whatever happens, and so you have to have a plan, work your plan your work, and just be ready, be prepared. You have to be prepared for everything. Because opportunity comes all the time, but sometimes we're not prepared for it. And so we learn how to be optimistic, expect the best. You prepare for the worst, but you expect the best. But I also want to mention that going forward, we have to be optimistic. We have to look at the better things. Mostly what we hear is negative things, and most of what we hear is things that promote fear. But we need to tune all that out and listen to positive things that make us feel good, and things that'll make us see a better way, and not negative things.